Hey YouTube and everybody else, my audience that is. So I just wanted to record a video because I I guess it's like journaling, just like anything else. I mean, again, like I've said before, I'm not an fitness influencer, but maybe I am an influencer to some extent. But I digress in that way. Um, Finding it interesting. So again, I've been doing this thing where I'm basically keeping the carbs between 0 and 13 grams a day, just about now. It's like, keeping it down. And my ketones were zero point 0.4 this morning, much better than the zero point 0.2. It's a progress. It's a progress. Like a week ago, I think it would basically turn out to be zero point 0.2. And I didn't do any exercise yesterday except light walking. I think I got 5,000 steps in. So, but I've been netting like yesterday, like at least yesterday and the day before, only 1,000 calorie intake. So obviously my everything's been down regulated. But without talking about diet so much, who gives a shit? I keep saying that stuff so much because it's so much more important than you know people might think. So, but the consequence of that is I'm getting a lot deeper sleep and meaningful sleep, and I'm spending a lot more time, I guess, in my mind trying to process things going on. Um, and so instead of like using my energy for exercise or whatever, I'm like, it's more of a therapy, I guess, in a way. Because you're like thinking a lot. You're trying to process a lot of things that you didn't process before, just because I didn't spend the time. And I start realizing I'm like, wait, why? I must be wasting time. No, you're not wasting time. A lot of people think you're wasting time doing this stuff, but I could tell you from my experience that you're not wasting time. I mean, you have to spend a considerable amount of time by yourself and really thinking about what's going on in life and the meaning of stuff, and trying to. You might end up in low, in um, you might end up at some points in your mind that you couldn't access unless you just intentionally like maybe like if you were to do a low fat diet that probably wouldn't work because you wouldn't be able to access those thoughts or whatever. You couldn't get from A to Z. You might get from A to B, but you can't get from A to Z all the way through. So it's so I've been able to do that, and therefore it's been taking more time. Um, and it may seem like I'm wasting time or I'm not doing anything, but really, I am processing a lot. So, for example, um, I know this may sound weird, but the idea of like money kind of came to play, I guess, yesterday. I'm not saying, I mean, everybody's got issues with money, but I had this dream because it kind of feels like you're cycling through and you're just like relative to the economics of things. It feels like the net of things, like it just feels like I'm not really like unconsciously my thought process is like, oh well, you're basically like it just feels like what it feels like is that I don't like the pressures on me is that I don't produce enough or provide enough or have enough energy or do enough, I guess you could say, to economically be rewarded to the extent that I do. But at the same time, um, because my job makes me think that I'm like that. But at the same time, um, it's like, well, if I were to get paid less, like I would still be like broke, because like now I'm in relative to what they think, like kind of like what they think they're giving you, I'm actually broke, even though I'm not broke. relative to what they're giving me, I'm broke. Like, oh well, we're giving you so much because you're doing this and this and that, or we're expecting this out of you, and you're only doing half of what we're expecting. That's kind of what my brain was unconsciously doing because um, telling my no, this is just based off of my dream that I had. I'm not trying to say this is a fundamental truth or anything, and I don't see that. I mean, there's not really a fundamental truth when it comes to that. In my opinion, I think that I work pretty hard and do it do enough at least for what I get paid, I guess you could say. Um, I mean, it's more of a risk thing. It's hard to explain. But the dream I had was I basically went back in time and somehow, not back in time, but somehow I ran into an old friend named Jimmy. And it's like, I think we were, he's about like 2 years older than me, but he's an old friend. We don't talk anymore. But when we met, I was happy to see him. But then, I don't know, there was something about like we were doing something, and then for whatever reason, like the dream was like that I had was that I basically in the dream, it was so vivid because like I just felt like it just felt so real in a sense, like the way that I felt. The way that I felt it was the same way that I dreamed the dream, even though it was not real. So it was like the dream was basically, well, I went like I was trying to like I had all this money and I was trying to like I don't know, like I just kept taking it out of my bank account, and then I'm like, dude, I don't know what happened to it, man. And then somehow he's like, yeah, I don't know either. And then somehow I'm like, I know you're behind it. You keep taking my money. Like I'll take like $100 out of my account, and then he'll take it, and I'm like, what the hell happened to it? I'm like, I don't have it. He's like, oh, he's like, I don't know. He's like, I'm like, dude, you stole it. He's like, no, I would never do that. Blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, you took it. You took the money out of my jeans. Like I just put it in my pocket. Why the? And then I tried to take another one out, and another one out, and then that whole process of me taking it and then him taking it away from me, that circular thing caused me to basically be broke. And then I'm like, dude, I owe a ton of money to these people, man. That's what I kept telling him. And I'm like, you don't get it. I'm just trying to deposit the money so I can give it to them. But it turns out that that whole process was him taking my money. So it's like, in a way, I felt like I was being used or something. Um, so, because that's kind of how I feel for work or whatever, or just in general, life in general, I guess. I just feel like things are spinning in place and not really going forward too much. Um, because of the economics, like you're paying your bills and then you're expecting yourself to move forward and you can't move forward, and that kind of thing. So I mean that's just kind of how I feel. In reality, it's a lot of it is my fault. I mean, I'm not saying like I'm not saving money, but it's just like that's freaking important. And then um I don't know. But the thing is, at the same time, it's not supposed to be a problem because it's like, well, because years are going by now, so it's like, what the hell's going on? So I just figured I would talk about that because it was a weird, somewhat meaningful dream because it's like that whole control of trying to get my, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to get my emergency fund up, and actually it's not really about the money necessarily. It's just about like the direction of things, and it's like I just feel like I'm doing all this, like I'm just kind of in place and I'm being expected to be a certain way, and it's like I'm doing everything I can and I'm just in place. I'm not really, it's not, I mean it's got everything to do with money, of course, but it also has to do with the pace of things. It's like, because the economics, it's the labor, it's all that stuff together when you think about it. And so it kind of makes me think about like one of the reasons is because it makes me think about energy use. Because for example, people are incentivized to have a lot of energy. And I was just telling Mark that because with this lack of carbs, the lack of carbs that I feel right now compared to carbs, I feel like I don't have a fraction of the energy that I'm using. It just feels very like, um, I mean, obviously, I'm able to think better, but I'm not able to exert as much calories, or as much energy as I was before. So it just kind of like, and I can feel it too, like things are slower and stuff like that. So it just kind of feels like, it's like the more I reflect on it, the more I realize, like, um, people are addicted, not necessarily to certain forms of energy, whether it's food, drugs, whatever the case might be. It's not necessarily their fault. It's because of the economics of things, because the economics are forcing them to, essentially to force themselves to consume a certain energy source that kind of has a backdoor to it. And if they don't do that, then they can't keep up with the insane economics that are going on today. And so that's just kind of the insight I got from that. And I mean, if you go keto, you're basically telling the world, "Hey, fuck you. I don't want to, I don't want to take your energy. Fuck you and your energy. I'm going to do what's right and live as long as possible. And um, even if that means I get shoveled up in a corner and left to die or whatever, or left to not die, but left to rot, then that's just what's going to happen. And even if I get squeezed out of all my money and I have nothing else left, that's what it's going to take. Um, and that's kind of how I feel when I transitioned over, because it's like I just don't like this whole culture of you need energy, you need energy, and like you look at these people on Instagram and they're influencers, and that's kind of what they're portraying when they show their physique. And like I could show my abs right now, but I don't want to do that shit, and all this other stuff, because they're trying to say, hey, get the energy and use the energy, get the energy, use the energy, and um, it's like, what are you supposed to do? It's ridiculous. It's like, and so, you know, I mean, um, because it's just kind of this, because because if you were to just chill and not worry so much and not have to go through that cycle of I need energy and then need to use it, whatever. If you could just chill, you'd be a lot smarter and you'd be able to make better choices, and you'd be able to accomplish way more, way more. The only thing you're not doing is you're just not contributing to a shitty ass economy. That's all you're not doing. And what, be it you're getting energy because of a job demands, or you're getting energy and you're doing that for fitness influencing or whatever, and getting fit and stuff like that. And it's just like this hamster wheel of sorts. And I know it's like, well, you're not one to talk, but well, I am from just a little bit of experience with that. And I mean, it's like it's bad in either case. Like if you're a fat fuck and you're using your, you know, you're not burning off the calories, well, you're still contributing to the same thing. Maybe in a different way, because you know they want you to carb up, or they want you to have all this energy and all that stuff, and it's not really. And it's weird because every faction kind of has their own version of that. Like the people that are all about corporate and stuff, like they'll get in the forms of Starbucks, with all their 700 calorie drinks. What else? Some people like to use Monster Energy. Others are straight up, drug addicts, and they're using their own forms of energy, like meth or whatever. And it's just like where are the people like me who are saying, well, we don't need that energy. We need the ability to have a clear mind to be able to achieve what we want. And you could spend all the energy you want on those things, but you'll never get anywhere because it's more of a puzzle piece, a puzzling thing. You can't just force your way in, whatever it might be. Learning an extra, learning a and some people would argue that you can force your way. I mean, and this is the whole thing about using ADD medication. It's like some people think, oh, well, you have a learning disorder, and then they're like, well, actually, in reality, you're just telling me that I don't have the energy, the excess energy to be able to do that, and I'm proving that. And there shouldn't be any pressure to have excess energy, in general, because again, that could also lead to eating disorders or overeating, blah blah blah. It just made me think about this dream, like this force that I'm feeling, and I really, it makes me reconsider everything. I mean, I'm just like, this is what a ridiculous way to live or whatever. And I guess that's one reason why I don't have a tenant yet. I mean, one of the reasons is because I don't force myself to have other people participate in that, and I myself don't like to participate. I only do it for my job, of course, as best as I can. And of course, even then, if they tell me to eat something, I'm like, no thanks, I'm good. I'll just stick to what I'm doing. Oh yeah, so the meds. I was trying to talk about the meds. So because like I have experience with that, like there was experience, saying, oh well, you need these meds so you can do the. They would argue that you need those meds so you can have the energy to to do those things like learning an instrument or being able to focus or learning another language or just being able to get through school, blah blah blah. And I've proven that it actually makes no difference. I mean, I always thought it did, but when you actually can dial it in and be more calm and, like, for example, be keto, it makes no difference. And actually, it might hurt you, at the end of the day. So, where you could just kind of slow down and take it a step at a time and be okay with somebody saying, hey, we need these jobs. What happened to you? You're only producing half of what you need to. Be okay with yourself. Be completely, realize you're your own person. It's like, it's not a big deal. So I just thought I would say this, because getting off carbs for about two weeks or so far has sort of allowed me to reconsider, or I guess rethink things a little bit. And I think it's important because this is what you have to go through. You have to go through this process if you want to move forward in the best way possible. Some people just never do it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just interesting, like the whole idea of this pressure of excess energy is that's everything. That's like, if you could just separate yourself from that, if you could say, I'll be my own person. I don't need excess energy. I'm going to do things that are good, that are, that where I'm going to take care of myself and live a conscious life. Then you're good. You should be fine. So I'll just go with that. Thanks for watching.